All right, welcome back to another episode of the Game Theory Podcast. This is episode 35. This is the intro section. We talked to David Sirlin, our in-depth analysis portion, and I think things went swimmingly. We actually pre-recorded it, and it was excellent. What were your thoughts, David?
That guy has got a lot of interesting things to say about fighting games, a genre that I never really took that seriously before reading his stuff. I never really understood the depth that was there, so it was pretty eye-opening for me.
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah. So, you guys should get pumped. It's a really good one. And spoiler alert, we actually don't get to as many questions as we wish we would have. So we're actually looking to have him back at some point. So that was good. So, so we've got a big weekend. Why is this a big weekend, David?
May the 4th be with you.
Always. Yes.
Tomorrow is, or today, when you guys are listening to this, is International Star Wars Day.
Indeed it is. It's also my son's birthday. Coincidence? No. We scheduled this 9 months early. Our activities to produce fruit accordingly. No, we didn't. Total coincidence. Totally awesome.
Yes.
Not even necessary.
Could he be the chosen one, sent to bring balance to the Force?
Indeed, he might. You're supposed to bring balance to the Force.
That was a good Ian McKellen. Sound just like him.
So we had actually a birthday party today. So we're actually recording this a little bit early because our guest has said he was something of a night owl. So we recorded a little bit early. But we got a bounce house and everything, David. It was super fun. I jumped in a bounce house. I don't give a shit.
No, you should never give a shit about jumping in a bounce house.
Indeed. In fact, giving a shit while you jump inside of one could be disastrous.
Exactly.
Well, cool. Welcome to another episode, guys. We appreciate having you. So I guess we can move on to recent news.
Okay, recent news.
Fuck. Shit.
Hello, how's this?
Hey, pretty good. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cut this part out. Yeah, I don't hear myself talking anymore.
Okay.
Not really. Alright, here we go. Alright, recent news. So we're going to be talking about headlines and whatnot. What do you got, David? Anything cool?
Okay, so we talked about how they were digging for the landfill to find the legendary Atari stash of ET games
Indeed.
last week.
Yes.
Well, they found them. It was a smorgasbord of old ET cartridges, and which is, interesting in itself. But what interests me, as far as a fan of pseudoscience, conspiracy theories, and just bad thinking, is the unexpected reaction of people on the internet called Atari truthers.
What?
Okay, so you know the term truther for 9/11?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones who are like, it was an inside job, and they've got all these kind of like pseudo facts about how it could never have happened.
Yeah, let me just say I was in the intelligence community at the time. All that's classified, but rest easy, folks. That's all I'll say.
Rest easy, it was an inside job. Jeremiah?
No, I didn't say it. It is not. All right,
Okay.
well, yeah.
So, anyway, truthers. Well, there are Atari truthers who believe that they faked the dig. There's no way the games could have survived so long.
Wait, who is they? Who faked it?
The people doing the dig,
Just some random people who were looking to profit, or
the man.
the man? The man. Okay.
Well, they argue that Microsoft is kind of behind it for publicity or something.
Okay.
And they say that like the games could not have survived that long, or there had to be more games than that in the whole, or some actually claim that the hard hat was photoshopped onto the guy who was like in the picture holding up the Atari cartridge.
Okay. So
And
like,
they're like, the comments are like, the cartridges are near pristine condition, calling bullshit until proven otherwise. And yeah. Anyway, I just think it's really interesting because of this. People are always like strangely skeptical about like things that are real, and then unskeptical about, like they're strangely skeptical about 9/11, but they're very much like, oh yeah, the government could do a massive conspiracy, nobody would ever leak that information. That's pretty believable.
yeah.
And there's always someone, I don't know, the thing about these conspiracy theories, and we could probably do a whole episode on this because there's a lot of fun psychology involved, but the thing about these conspiracy theories that intrigues me is just how they kind of take off and kind of give the people who propagate them, because every idea, every meme needs to be propagated to survive. It's
Mhm.
almost like a intellectual evolution, and that the bad ideas don't survive and get passed on. So there's something
Mhm.
about these conspiracy theories that's interesting, and I think it's the sense of superiority people get about like being on the inside and like knowing the truth. Like they're called truthers.
So you're saying it's less about the bad ideas not surviving, and it's more about the non-sensational ideas not surviving.
Right. When I say
Kind of
bad ideas don't survive, I mean ideas that aren't interesting to hold on to. Like
okay.
the idea
Yeah.
of
Okay.
a axe made of cheese is just not that interesting. So we don't see a
Right.
lot of that in folklore. But the idea of a walking, talking tree is an interesting idea that gets pushed along through folklore and through tall tales, and we see that show up in legends a lot. A lot of the tropes in mythology and in religions and in different like legends.
Yeah, like campfire stories and stuff, like
Yeah.
Slenderman.
Yeah, some of them are the same over and over again because they're really interesting, and some of them aren't. And I think uh, what these truthers have is like this. It's interesting, but it also gives them a sense of kind of superiority, like they are in on something that most people don't know.
Ah, right, right, right,
And so like I don't know, you ever talk to somebody like this who just has like all these
right.
conspiracy theories?
Yeah, even I even actually had like a quasi or a close friend at the time, and we were talking to him about. I can hear you eating your sweet, sweet, delicious ice cream sandwich.
It's so
Um,
good.
so you guys just get used to it, man. Like this portion is us just bullshitting. So you're gonna listen to us eat food. So get used to it.
I
Um,
might mute my mic if I think about it, but no
Nah, don't even do
promises.
that. Don't even do that. Like, this is an informal section. But there was a guy I knew when I was in counterintelligence school, right? So there's something called the MI library. It's called the not Mission Impossible library. I almost said that military intelligence library. Sorry. You log in with your CAC card, which is just a card that allows you to access anything up to your security level. My security level is top secret SCI, which is literally the highest you can get except executive level. I could look at anything I wanted on the CIPRNet, which is like an internet that's classified. Anyway, whatever. Point is, I looked up all this stuff and I was like, oh hey, as it turns out, man, just won't say anything in particular. You shouldn't be so worried about the things you're worried about because he was a truther. Even with all of that, and he knew I was in CI school. He knew I had, like a clearance. He knew everything. He was like, "Yeah, I still don't believe you. Maybe they covered up from you too." I was like, "I don't think you understand how this works. Classification levels. It's sort of like a ESBR or whatever that is. It's a rating system anyway that is irrelevant. It's not pragmatic in any sense. It's based on criteria. So I would be able to access things like that. I've seen some weird, fucked up shit. Guys, seriously, go look up some stuff that's declassified. There's a 25-year limit on things that are top secret, 15 for secret, and 10 for or no, 25 for top secret SCI, I think. 15 for top secret, and for secret it's 10. So you can go look up anything. They have a declassification board that comes up, and they sign off and say, yeah, it's fine or not, right? Some of the things that got renewed is things like Area 51. There's also one in Colorado. Won't talk about it, but they still say I won't affirm or deny these things. But the point is that. One of them, some of them that are declassified, I was very surprised they did. It's things like go look up Operation Artichoke, MK Ultra, any of the MK series. There's an umbrella term called MK Ultra, and it held a lot of them, but it has to do with like the intelligence community, what we did to people, rounding up homeless people and doing horrible things to them. I won't even talk about it. Just go look it up. The point is this: that stuff got released. I read about that long before it did. I even like referenced it somewhat to people, and people were like, no way. And then it got declassified, and I sent them the link to the Wikipedia article that came out. And once it got declassified, I was like, look at this, look at this, look at this, and people believe me.
You were
Still, the
like
same
a
guy,
you were like a top
resilient.
secret hipster, and that
I
you
was.
oh I knew this before it was cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, but unfortunately we can't talk about it. But that's one of the cooler things about that. But it's funny because all I was saying is in an area where I absolutely knew this wasn't true. You're saying that there's still people who have a resiliency to that truth.
Because there's always one level of conspiracy deeper they can throw at you. They're like, oh well, of course the CIA isn't in on it, but and the
Yeah.
NSA doesn't know about it. This is very top. Not even the president knows about this. This is a shadow government that controls the
Oh,
president. Like they'll just take it one level further, all the
yeah.
way to reptile men leading the country, which by the way, like 7% of America believes in.
Yeah, that's the thing. And considering how big we are, that's large. That's bigger than a lot of countries.
So, but what I do in these situations, because you always talk to somebody who's just like, "Oh man, you believe the moon landing? The moon landing was faked, man." And I just like to kind of out crazy them, like take the conspiracy theory like one level even crazier than where they can go, so they
Yeah.
they won't follow me there. So like like the moon landing, they're like, "You think the moon landing was faked? Everyone knows that." And I just look at them in all seriousness and I say, "Wait, you believe in the moon? You think that's real?" Yeah, it's in the sky. I'm like, yeah, A picture of it's up there, a projection. What are you talking about? Have you ever actually been up there? Have you actually been on the moon? No? Exactly. Exactly. Of course it was fake. There is no moon. I can't believe you believe there's a moon. Just out crazy him because like you're not going to convince him. You can't use logic, so just go the other way. Like go the opposite direction. Just have fun.
Wow, not less than 2 episodes ago, we had an episode on trolling. This is it, folks. This is
Dude,
it.
if anyone deserves it,
Yeah,
it's truthers.
yeah. Oh, that's hilarious, man.
You believe that there ever was a World Trade Center? Okay. All right. Have you ever been to New York City? Yeah, I didn't think so.
That's awesome. Well, cool. What else? I've got one news story. I know you've got a few. You're much better than I am at things, so.
Oh, let's see yours. Your pittance that you brought to the table.
My small pittance was actually even copped off one of our listeners. One of our, the friends of the show, Tommy, wrote in. He wrote about this, and it's been all over the news, to be fair, but he directly called attention to it in our Facebook page. It was about the new Call of Duty. Have you heard anything about it, like in its controversy?
I heard that Kevin Spacey was going to be in it. That's the only bit of news that stuck with me.
Kevin Spacey. All right, is he really? Are you serious?
Yeah. No,
Oh, I thought you were kidding.
no, he's supposed to be a voice actor in it.
Oh, hell yeah, that'll be great. Well, basically, it's based on these, private security forces. They're called a lot of different things. Private contractors, personal contractors, personal security forces, private
Soldiers of
security forces.
Fortune.
Soldiers of Fortune, yeah. So I'm specifically going to ask you about this because I think this might be hilarious. They think it's this radical, like new idea, very controversial that there's privatized security forces. So like when I was in Iraq, there was these people called Blackwater. There's another one called. I'm trying to remember them all. There was three of big ones, but Kellogg Brown Root KBR had some people there. Contractors who would, basically they're not U.S. soldiers like myself, like I was. They were there on behalf of some security force, some company who had hired them to protect them.
Mercenaries.
Mercenaries, exactly. Like, and people think this is a new concept and controversial. Now, you know a little bit about history. Is this a new concept where this is because their claims are this? I should couch it in this exaggeration. They say there will be no more private or public military anymore. It's all going to be privatized security forces who hire themselves out to the highest bidder.
Okay, well that's nothing new. Like, the Hessians were famous for that. The German professional armies, like during during the Independence Day, or not
Yeah.
Independence Day, the War of Independence, whatever you call it, the Revolution, the American Revolution. We had a lot of we were mostly we were fighting a lot of Germans in that because they were just mercenaries hired out. And like, hey guys, here we are, we're Germans.
Yeah, and haven't I thought the Irish, like, haven't they been hired more as a private security force than they ever have as a military? I think they've been something like that.
Yeah, the Swiss guards of the Vatican. Like it's as long as there have been armies, it's like the world's second oldest profession after
Right.
prostitution is being a soldier for hire.
Right, sex and fighting.
People people always want to have someone who can kill people. It's a useful skill.
Why would this not be an idea of like that? Or why is this an idea that's so radical? Because like when I was in it, especially in counterintelligence, like we got recruited hardcore from because we had a lot of specific subsets of skills that they had a paucity of. But so they recruited like crazy from us. But I think people are probably doing that for a long time, which is like, hey, you guys have this skill, I'll pay you more to do it. Pretty sure that's just called capitalism or market.
Yeah, it's just the privatization of like anything else, like the post office, and you have UPS and you have FedEx, and like you have all these different like mail delivery companies, and one of them is the government's one, and it's just people privatize and they do government services more efficiently. Some would say.
Yeah. Yeah, and different. I mean, okay, so my experience, I'll give you guys a couple war stories. Okay, get ready. But like my experience with them is we had to bail them out a lot. They talk a lot of hard talk, and they are like a lot of them are recruited from the highest of the high. I mean, counterintelligence, for example, very high. Like people who can make it through there. We had a less than 10% success rate. Huge as far as like getting the best of the best. Sure, great. That's why they recruited from us. But unfortunately, here's what happens when you start getting paid to make, or to just do things. They start getting sloppy. Plus, they don't have the same infrastructure as we do. They can't call in like a naval or an airstrike or like a naval strike, things like that. So they don't have the same kind of power we do. They have the mobility, and they use like trucks and they blend in and things like that. Sure. But they got themselves into a lot of crap, and we had to come bail them out because they're technically American citizens. So they would call our Eagle One and be like, "Oh crap, we're in a firefight," and we were like, "God damn it!" So we'd have to go and rescue their asses a lot. So it's a little annoying. They have a bad vibe with the U.S. military, but
Right.
nonetheless, what a lot of the things they did very well. Like small, concise strikes and the plausible deniability of the U.S. government. The U.S. government, who hired
Mhm.
KBR to do a lot of their work, would be like, "Hey, KBR, Kellogg Brown Root, they were owned by people like Dick Cheney had a lot of he was one of the high shareholders in their business, possibly the majority shareholder. I can't remember, but basically his company was hired out to do a lot of the Iraq building. Well, they got security forces rather than the U.S. military, and we had to bail them out a lot. But the cool thing is if those security forces who are hired by, are basically in charge of by the Vice President of the United States, and arguably the Vice President or the President of the United States, can now do things that give the United States a plausible deniability. So there's danger there. I get it, but saying that
Yeah.
like the new security force, I just don't. I don't know how that could happen.
I think we're always going to supplement until we get another draft. We're going to always supplement our volunteers with professional mercs. But I think it's part of a bigger problem that is like this perpetual state of war that we're in as a country. We're in the war on terror, which is like a war against an abstract idea. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't sign a peace treaty with terror or like set terms of like an armistice or a ceasefire. Like it's just basically saying like as long as there is scary things happening in the world, we're at war with that. And so
yeah,
with no real like end in sight, it's we've been in a state of war for a decade and more than
yeah,
that now.
yeah.
And what scares me is that when we're in a state of war, we tend to be more like prone to like, all right, you know what? Let's increase military spending. Let's decrease civil liberties. Let's tap some phones. Let's do whatever we want. Let's really like it gives you kind of carte blanche to do things because you're in an almost state of emergency, right? So you can do
Right.
things that normally wouldn't fly through Congress.
Yeah.
And so and part of the reason that we're in this perpetual state of war is because we have so much financial investment in these, weapons companies, tanks companies, planes.
Yep.
We're still making tanks. Like those, they don't want them. Like we, like,
We don't use those anymore.
like
Well,
they'll spend billions of dollars on tanks and be like, all right, here come the tanks. Like we'll put them in a warehouse because we don't really use tanks here. It's not like a thing anymore. But we just have all these like the military industrial complex keep churning out mercenaries, churning out weapons, churning out tanks and planes and things that we just don't need because there's a lot of money in
infrastructure.
politics and that money is heavily invested in keeping those things going, keeping that
Sure.
infrastructure going.
Yep.
So that's my political rant for the day, but I think the mercenaries are just one syndrome of a larger problem, and that is like the fact that we're just in forever war.
Mhm. And to be fair, like we were alluding to earlier, the mercenaries are as old as prostitutes. I mean,
Mhm.
like I obviously had the draw to also enlist in one of these corporations, but I was just done with war after I went. I was like, you know what, that's not fun. But it is still enticing of how much you get paid. And should I ever run out of like people to do therapy with, yeah, it's definitely an option for me because it pays a ton. You go a couple of years and you can retire, so it's
All
fun.
right, that's what Liam Neeson did in the movie Taken.
Yeah, but most of the reason why privatized security forces do so well, like cost-wise, is because they don't train their own forces. They buy people after being trained by the U.S.
Mm.
military. I mean, you've got to be pretty ignorant to just write off like the U.S. military's kind of role in all of this and their success.
Mhm.
They're augment forces. You can't run a whole army off of them.
Right, so that's probably not going to happen. So that's the controversy for the new Call of Duty is it talks about a mercenary team.
Yeah, everyone's getting their mind blown about the idea that like like
Read a Tom Clancy novel. Like this isn't like this isn't even new to pop culture. Like every single movie has like mercenaries in it now.
Well, I know. I think it's their statement that in 25 years there won't be any more public military or public-run military. I was like, it's a weird idea.
I'm more concerned about no more public run prisons would be a scarier concept for me.
Yeah, no doubt.
So cool.
Okay.
Well,
Hey, good find, Tommy. And
yeah.
appreciate that.
Speaking of American military, do you remember that story from last week about how Denmark was making they made the
Yeah,
entire country out of Minecraft?
yeah, yeah.
Well, no sooner did that go live than American hackers broke into the world, and using American tanks and American bombs, they just trashed the place and they put American flags up everywhere, all over Denmark.
Hell yeah. Oh my god.
So yeah, I don't know what that says about us as a culture, but that definitely happened.
Well, it says about American hackers as a culture.
Right.
They're pretty trolly, so I wouldn't read too much into it.
It's such a peaceful country, and they just like invaded it and exploded it. There's craters all over Denmark now.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So anyway, they're planning on resetting the server back to its pristine pre-American invasion settings. But I thought that was
I'm
pretty funny.
sure the whole world wishes they could reset America's influence, but too bad. We're America, bitches.
Too bad we're here, for better or
Yeah.
worse. And,
Man,
yeah.
I like America. I'm not a hater. You know, I just we have
Do
to
you like
admit our
America
faults.
as much as Guile?
Maybe, maybe not.
America! Did you just exclaim America?
Huh? Oh yeah. Do you have two tattoos?
USA! USA!
I don't think you're gonna start a USA chant and what do you say? An office full of paper pushers. You guys, go watch that. That's funny. It's Pete Holmes. He's doing the Street Fighter series, and one of them is Guile. Very funny.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Anyway, what else?
Speaking of America, apparently the Japanese are really upset that our new Godzilla movie is just coming out. You've seen the previews for that with Bryan Cranston?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's Godzilla. Never get excited about it. I mean, it's better than the rest, but that's not saying much.
Well, it's certainly better than the Matthew Broderick reboot. It's got Bryan Cranston, so they've got
Dude.
my ticket there.
Dude, in the old one, in that one with the Broderick, the guy who taught me Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, his name is Matthew. Not Matthew. What's his name? Brent Smith. He ran a company called Bloodline Submission Grappling. He taught me Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That guy was in that movie. He's one of the guys in the tanks when Godzilla's stepping over and he just points up and goes, "Oh!" And then so claim to fame, folks. That guy taught me how to fight people.
He was in a great movie. Well,
Yeah.
apparently, the new Godzilla is morbidly obese by Japanese standards. And there's a big hubbub on the internet where the Japanese are not excited by how fat he is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that was funny. I didn't notice, like, he's just a huge monster, but apparently he's just looking a little chunky. They call him, one of them said he's gone supersize me.
All right. Yeah.
So, yeah, so look out for that. And then my final bit of news is in celebration of Star Wars Day. Disney and I guess it was Disney that made the announcement. They said they've announced that they're changing the expanded universe for Star Wars.
Oh, you mean they're resetting?
Yeah, well, they're going through and they're purging it. They're taking out almost all the books that take place after Episode 6.
Oh, how do you feel about that?
Overall, I think I'm okay. Like, there's some things I'll miss, but the EU's just famously bad in a lot of ways. A lot of stuff that came out in the '90s, they were like the super weapon, the even bigger super weapon, the superest weapon.
Yeah, Star Destroyer, Super Star Destroyer, Epic Star Destroyer, Massive Star Destroyer.
It's like the Death Star. Now this one is a super Death Star. It destroys 2 planets at once. And now there's a Sun Crusher.
And like Leia and Han's, twin Super Force babies. But one thing I'll miss is the Timothy Zahn series. Did you read that? Read those?
Yeah, that's like the one thing that people are gonna lament is the lack of Admiral
Chiss?
Thrawn.
Yeah.
The Chiss. I played a Chiss in SWTOR.
They're cool,
They were
man.
Cool. Yeah.
And Grand Admiral Thrawn, that is written by Timothy Zahn, like his character was just cool. He was like another one of those like just Imperial forces that like have just a place in my heart for like rank structure and evil and awesome.
I think another thing I'm gonna miss is the gender politics, like the progressiveness of it. Like in the Star Wars movies, it was like there's Princess Leia and Mon Mothma. Those are women, and then everybody else was a dude. It's like a dude movie.
Yeah.
But in the books, like people would be, male or female. It didn't seem to make any difference. Like in this world that was like post. Where physical strength wasn't that important anymore to be a badass. Like, you had pilots that were ladies and female aliens and female, like, it's just it was just a non-comment. Yeah, with female Jedi instead of just these, like, warrior monk dudes, like in the movies. And it was just, like, something that nobody raised an eyebrow about, except in the Empire, where they were just, super racist and misogynistic anyway, because they're evil and fascist.
Right.
But in the New Republic and in the Rebellion, like, they didn't care. They were just like, oh, you're an alien? Cool. Oh, you're a female? No problem.
Yeah, especially BioWare, who like Bastille, and then what was the other? There's the girl in SWTOR.
Yeah, her descendant, like something Sean.
Yeah, but like some of the baddest and on
and on the bounty hunter from the SWTOR, like the iconic bounty
That's
hunters are
right.
female too.
Yeah.
Like it just is it's cool that it's become a non-issue. They're like that's just not worthy of commenting, which is kind of where we want or where I want feminism to end up. Like I just want to be in a world
Hmm.
where male or female is like not that big a thing unless you're doing something specifically female, like having a baby.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll miss that because the movies were not really big into that.
Yeah. That's true. Hmm.
But overall, like it's kind of nice to just wash everything away and start fresh, and because then you don't have to worry about like because one thing they've been really good at with the expand universe is deciding like keeping it all kind of together even through like kind of awkward retcons but making sure nothing contradicted anything else, so a sense of
Yeah.
continuity.
Yeah.
But it must be a nightmare to try and make movies in that setting now because you got to make sure you're not like even running a Star Wars role playing game. I was always concerned. I'm like, wait a minute, if they're on Vespin right now, like, wait, is this when Lando's here? Should they run into him or should they not? Like, is this going to cause a continuity error? Like, you're always thinking about these things. You want everything to like fit together.
Yeah, get out of hand quick. But what about the fact that it didn't clear out midichlorians, which was part of the actual series?
Yeah, I don't know.
That
I don't know
sucks.
if they're gonna if they're gonna like focus on the midichlorians or not because that was not like something people are chomping at the bit for.
People hate
Like
that.
yeah, nobody was like, you know what's interesting about the Force? If you could just explain how there's little bugs in our blood that talk to the Force and tell their will to us, like that would be great, because we
Yeah.
don't want that to be mysterious.
Like somehow a connection to some weird supernatural force by way of tangible creatures was somehow more scientific.
Right, like it's there's still a weird supernatural force, but now we're just getting it secondhand through parasites in our blood
Yeah, it's so
or
stupid.
symbiotes, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, still I'm kind of excited. Like they've announced they're going to be doing one Star Wars movie a year, like indefinitely.
That's
And I
cool.
think if they do that, they could do that really well. You could make that about different because instead Star Wars has always been like these epic, like galaxy-shattering events following these like cast of heroes. But what if like when you have enough movies, you can just do like here's a Lord of the Flies kind of movie where these Jedi get stranded on a planet and have to do pretty bad things to survive, or here's a film noir kind of bounty hunter Star Wars movie, and just like set things in the Star Wars universe, but tell different kinds of stories on it.
So you mean like sort of flirting with the more Star Trek storyline than the Star Wars epic kind of grand opera, like space opera thing?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
if you're gonna do one every movie, like they don't all need to be space operas. Like you can have one that's just about a smuggler and kind of a Firefly kind of story.
Just
You
about
can
two roommates trying to get along, you know?
yeah, you can have a buddy cop movie with yeah,
Yeah.
you do a lot of things. Like it's a big universe, and when you're doing
Yeah.
like the video games or when you're playing, like even when you're playing SWTOR, like there's so many different kinds of stories they tell on that. If you play the
Mhm.
Jedi storyline, that one feels like a Star Wars story. But if you play the smuggler storyline, it's just like the adventures of Han Solo and his awesome buddies. So like
Mhm.
different ways you could go with it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you made a trilogy out of each of those storylines, I don't even know if you could compress one of those storylines into one trilogy. You might be able to, but I mean, if you took the best parts, I guess you could. But yeah, there's a lot to say out there.
Yeah,
And look at people playing RPGs like of this tabletop RPGs. There's obviously a lot to do.
right. We're about to
But
start a game that's there's not even any Jedi in the game. It's just but smugglers and bounty hunters and mercenaries just getting by on the outer rim. So
it's gonna
there's
be sick.
it's a big universe, and I think they could do a lot of good things with it. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Cool.
Although I will miss the feeling of playing like a Knights of the Old Republic and being like, this really happened in the past,
Yeah, exactly.
in this fake past of this fake world that I'm invested in.
Now it's just more like fanfic, which just can be satisfying, but there will be a small like sadness.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my news.
Well, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that brings us to gaming experiences.
Gaming experiences.
All right. So gaming experiences. What have you been doing throughout the week?
Well, I've always got my DS on me now, and I'm just playing Bravely Default whenever there's a commercial break or whenever there's any downtime at all. I'm on that game.
Wow.
It's fun, dude. There are so many jobs now, and you can switch between jobs and try and max out different skills from each job and customize your guys. So you have like, I was like, oh, I want to have these white mage skills, but I also want these performer skills so I can make a really good support character. Like it's a lot of customization for each character. So having fun with it.
Wow. It sounds really fun. I'm jealous. Well, you and I have been logging on and playing SWTOR too.
Yeah, we've gotten all this talk of Star Wars has made us nostalgic for Star Wars: The Old Republic. So, especially this weekend, if you guys you still have time, if you're listening to this right now on the 4th, the weekend of the 4th is Double Experience Day on Star Wars: The Old Republic. So, any of you want to dust off your accounts and play some free Star Wars, it's a good time to level up.
Yeah, yeah, should be fun.
So you've been
Yeah,
playing your trooper and your Imperial agent.
yeah. I want to play my Sith warrior, which is kind of like the Darth Vader sort of idea for those who don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but I forgot that I had leveled him up some because I kind of fell in love with him. He's really fun. Um, and so I'd gotten past, like, you and I had characters we were running together. You had a sorceress, which is more like the imp, well,
Yeah, kind of an Emperor archetype. Lots of
emperor, yeah.
lightning, lots of force lightning.
Yeah, less emphasis on lightsaber combat and big shoulder pads, and more emphasis on like subterfuge and
Yeah,
Sith lightning.
evil space wizard.
Evil space wizard.
Yeah,
So
that's fun. We used to play that together, and we would be on Skype while we're playing it, and we'd just be doing our best Sith voices. Yes, we
yes, and lots of
over-enunciate all of our words.
heavy breathing like a motherfucker. But yeah, that was fun. I also bought a game called Broken Age. It's more for my kids. They got pretty excited about it. But it's this. It's by Double Fine, which is pretty popular developer. And they came out with this game called Broken Age, and it's supposed to be just a really great game. That's kind of I mean, casual. I don't know if that's the right game. It's more of like a
It's an adventure game, right? Like a click and pick up
yeah,
things.
yeah, and it's all about like these decisions you make, and I mean, not too far off of Telltale games. They could have made a game just like this. It's those sorts of things. The things that make it interesting is like character development, relationships, and decisions you make. So it's not bad. It's pretty fun. But yeah, check it out. I mean, I think it's not real expensive, but
Yeah, it's
especially if you
very
have
very
kids, like, 'cause
artsy looking.
yeah, it's something that even Elijah could play. My son, who's 6.
Yeah. So you were looking at another indie game you were thinking about buying. Did you ever get that one, The Princess of Light or Daughter of Light?
No, I want to. I want to get it, but I couldn't justify buying 2 in one weekend.
Hmm.
So maybe later. But even my wife saw it and she's like, "Oh, yeah, you should buy that game. It looks cool." Because it's this idea of like how the developers talked about it is really cool. They said they go, in an era of power fantasies, this is one that's not, which I thought was really cool.
So
When
instead
things
of
like,
playing like the Gears of War, like huge
yeah,
muscle-bound badass with a machine gun, you're a little girl flying around with a sword.
yeah, or even as I scroll down my gaming list in Steam, I noticed that yeah, most of mine are that way. Like you know, Team Fortress, Tom Clancy, Transformers, Walking Dead, a little bit, Wolf Among Us, definitely Power Fantasy. Just anything I was looking at, I was like, yeah, that's kind of that way. It's like about
Batman.
you pummeling other people and being kind of stronger or better, or becoming a better warrior or something like that. Whereas this game is not the case. You are not the greatest warrior. You're a little girl in a nightgown with a sword, like that. Is clearly outmatched, but it's more about like just a different sort of experience. It's cool.
Yeah, looks interesting. I might end up getting that too. It's got like a vaguely multiplayer aspect where one person can control like a sidekick character and do little things.
Hmm. So, sort of like Mario Galaxy, kind of.
Yeah, like
One
one
person
person
kind of
controls a little
connects.
star thing, or
Yeah.
the new Mario Wii U thing where one guy with the
Yeah.
pad can like draw little blocks on the screen.
That was fun, by the way. Much more fun than I expected. I played that and had a great time.
Oh yeah, it looks interesting. So
By the way, if
cool.
anyone just absolutely loves this podcast and wants to contribute somehow and feels like you just need to throw money at us, go ahead and buy me Punch Out Wii because I want to play that so hard. It's been on my wish list forever. But I'm kidding, of
Is it
course.
just hard to find? Is it out of print?
Well, I mean, it just doesn't come down. Like it's still like $45 or whatever. It was released at 49. It's still 45. I can't find it anywhere for less. So I love Punch Out and I really want to play it. But I'm kidding. I don't want the listeners to have to pay for something like that. But
Yeah. Well, we've got Little Mac coming out as a playable character in Smash Brothers. You'll get some kind of experience with Punch Out soon.
that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, very cool. Well, awesome. So that brings us to our next section, the in-depth analysis, where we talk to David Sirlin about I mean, more than we expected, but for sure about fighting games and about strategy, playing to win, competition, things like that. So, yeah, let's get to it.